If you've ever wondered whether the SwingVision app is worth your time or your money, then this video is for you, as I've spent more than a year using the app as a coach with my players and as a player myself. And in this video, I'm going to give you 5 pros and 5 cons when it comes to using the app. Now, for full transparency, you may have seen that some of my videos recently have been sponsored by SwingVision, and they asked me whether I'd make a dedicated video on the app. Now, usually I don't take sponsorship for review videos as they become completely biased. However, I had one condition that I gave to SwingVision when it came to making this video, and that was that I could talk about all the negative points that I found when using the app. And they agreed. And so this may be the last time SwingVision sponsor my videos, but it'll be worth it. Now, before getting into the pros and cons, it's important for me to give you a good understanding of what the SwingVision app actually is. But if you already know what it is, you can skip to the next part of the video. But for those that haven't heard of it before, SwingVision is an app on your phone that you can use to either record or input footage from your training sessions and matches. And the software does a number of really cool things to help you to review your tennis. Firstly, it cuts out all of the dead time in between each point or each rally, which is great when you're watching an hour-long piece of footage. It trims it down to around 20 to 30 minutes. It also creates highlight reels and allows you to filter down certain shots or rally situations. As well as that, it collects loads of data, like the speeds of your shots, what shot types you've been hitting, and also ball placement stats. So at the end of your training session or your match, you can see a real detailed breakdown of what's been going on, which for me as a coach is obviously great, but also for players reviewing their own tennis, it's a really cool tool to take your tennis to the next level. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about the app, as I'm going to cover a lot when it comes to the pros and cons. So let's get into it. So the first pro to using the SwingVision app, I've touched on briefly already, and it's the fact that watching yourself play tennis is one of the most powerful ways to improve your game. As often the way that we think that we play is very different to the way that we actually play. And until you film yourself, you'll never know that. Now, yes, of course, you could just film yourself using a camera or your phone without using the app. However, what I really love about using the app is that it chops out the dead time in between each rally or in between each point, which really saves time when reviewing footage, especially as a coach. As a few of my players that I work with send me footage of themselves playing matches, and those that don't use the SwingVision app, it honestly takes me hours to see what's going on within their match, whereas those that do use SwingVision, it's so much more efficient. What I also love about watching the footage back is that if there's a certain part in a player's game that I want to see, I can filter it down. And so if I'm looking at a player's serve +1 patterns, I can filter it down to watch only their serving points. Instantly, that halves the amount of time that I need to watch the video for. I can even filter it down to a specific shot, like backhand errors or forehand winners. As well as this, SwingVision films in 60 frames per second, which basically means you can slow the footage down. Again, if you're looking for something technical within your game, this is a really good feature. What you might be thinking is, how do I actually film from that angle using my phone? That's where the SwingVision swing stick comes in. I got sent one of these, and you can too actually. If you subscribe to the pro version of the app, you get sent one of these for free using my code below. And it's basically an extendable pole that you hook on top of the fence behind you, allowing you to have a much better vantage point, a bit like how you see tennis played on the TV. But by filming from a higher point, it allows your camera to see all of the lines on the court, meaning that SwingVision is going to collect much clearer data for you. Pro number 2 is with regards to the data and the stats that SwingVision collects. And as a bit of a nerd, I absolutely love it. However, a quick caveat to that, 2 of the cons that I'm going to go through later are also to do with the stats and the data that it collects, so stay tuned for that. But what I love is that after any training session or any match, you can see exactly what's happened on the match court. You can see a heat map of where your shots have landed. You can see where the majority of your points were won and lost and what sort of rally lengths you were doing best in, which can really give you great insights in how to improve your game and to take it to the next level. One of the best cases of how you could use this is when going into a match having a really clear goal or game plan. Whether you're trying to target your opponent's backhand or get to the net to finish the point with a volley. Either way, you can check how your game plan went after the match when you check out the stats. You might find that you're doing really well in the short points, but struggling when you're playing in those longer rallies. What that can mean for you in your training is that you spend more time working on building your strength and endurance in those longer rallies. Or on the flip side, if you play that same player again, you might want to keep the rally short to capitalize on your strengths. But there are so many things that you can take from the stats and the data, which is why it's one of the biggest pros for using the app. Pro number 3 comes to training on your own, and there are 2 settings within the SwingVision app which allow you to do this. serve practice and ball machine practice. Now, I'm a huge advocate of training with another human being as much as you possibly can, but I know that for some people that's not always an option. And so hitting with a ball machine or practicing your serve alone is another way to develop your game. And what the SwingVision app does is adds more purpose to those sessions, as I see far too many players going through the motions when they're hitting with a ball machine or practicing their serve on their own. Whereas when you're using the app, you can set yourself certain goals, whether it's practicing serving into a certain part of the court, whether it's trying to increase your maximum serve speed, or if you're trying to practice certain patterns of play using the ball machine. Whatever your goal is, you're going to be far more accountable to it if you're using the SwingVision app, as after your session, you can check in to see how you got on. Nothing beats purposeful practice. And so if you can add more purpose to any of your training, it's only going to help you to develop quicker. Pro number 4 kind of links into pro number 3, and it's the app gives you live feedback, especially when you're doing serve practice. Now, what I mean by this is if you turn your speakers up on your phone, SwingVision will actually give you live feedback after every serve that you hit. So if you set yourself a target of hitting out wide on the juice side, every time you hit a serve into that zone, it will make a successful sound to tell you. And every time you miss it, it will tell you and it will give you feedback as to what you need to change. Now, of course, most of you can see if you've been successful or not, but what the app does as well is it tells you your serve speed, which is pretty motivating if you're looking to improve the speed of your serve.
86 miles per hour.
86 miles per hour. I can go bigger.
87 miles per hour.
Now, I actually didn't know that function existed, and I'm going to be using it a lot more now that I do. Pro number 5 is that SwingVision actually gives you the opportunity to compete against others that are using the app, whether that's friends of yours or even people all over the world. As there's leaderboards within the app, which shows you how you compare against others when it comes to shots hit, shots in, shots deep, distance run, and serves in. And so if you're competitive like me, then this is a really cool function. There are actually 2 more pros that I forgot to mention, but I thought of whilst talking. The first being that it links to your Apple Watch. So if you're an Apple Watch user, you can actually track the scores of your match if you're a forgetful person. But what's even cooler is it can actually call the lines for you. And so if there's a tight call in the match, you can check on your Apple Watch as to whether that ball was in or out, which is a really cool function. Now, as you can tell so far, the app is pretty cool and it does some amazing things. However, I'm sure you're keen to hear the negative parts of the app too, so let's get into those. Now, all 5 of these cons have either come from my experience using the app or some of the players that I work with that have given me feedback about the app. The first one is with regards to the serve speeds that you see flash up on the app. Now, obviously, tracking your serve speeds and your shot speeds is a pretty cool feature. However, the way that the app tracks your speed is not the same as you see Hawkeye track it on TV. The way that they track it on TV is they track the actual speed of the ball as it comes off the strings of your racket, or slightly after, which at that point, the ball is moving at its quickest. But by the time it bounces at the other end, it's already lost a percentage of that speed. How SwingVision tracks your serve speed is it picks up the average between contact and landing at the other end, which will naturally be a slower speed than it would if you were being tracked using Hawkeye. Now, people see this as a negative as you want to compare yourself to the pros. If you see Ben Shelton hitting 135 mile per hour serve, if he were to use SwingVision, it might look like it's 115 or 120 miles per hour. And so if you're getting the app to compare your serve to the pros, this is not the app for you. However, if you're using the app to develop your own serve or maybe compare yourself to other club players that are using the app, then it's great. This is the same for all of the shots that it tracks, so don't be disheartened when you realize that your serve isn't quite as quick as Ben Shelton's. Con number 2 is with regards to the ball placement tracking, and that it's never going to be as accurate as Hawkeye, as Hawkeye has fixed cameras all around the court tracking the ball to the millimeter. Yet SwingVision is on a mobile device strapped to a fence that has a bit of movement sometimes. And so it's impossible for it ever to be as accurate as Hawkeye. Sometimes it does get placement ever so slightly wrong, but overall, in my experience, 99% of the time, the calls are pretty accurate. And so for my use case as a coach, I want to see general themes as to where my shots are landing or where my players' shots are landing. If it gets 1 or 2 calls wrong within a set, I'm good with that. If you're looking for a device that gives you the most accurate line calling, you're gonna have to go for something that's worth thousands thousands of pounds and something that's fixed to your court for good. However, in most situations, you definitely don't need that, as if you feel that you're getting a load of bad line calls, it's probably a result of you aiming too close to the lines anyway. Now, con number 3 is a little bit more of a mental thing, and it's twofold. Number 1 is trying not to let SwingVision become a distraction. As I know from experience that the first couple of times you put it up, you think about what you're looking like on the court rather than playing like you normally would. The second part to that is if you wear your Apple Watch linking to the app and you're seeing the score and you're seeing the line calls, that can also be an added distraction. And so my advice to you is if you feel like the Apple Watch is distracting you, don't wear it for your first few matches. Just get used to playing with the camera on at first. You'll soon get used to that. And if you feel like the watch is going to be added value to you, then put it on after you've played a few matches. The other part is being brave enough to ask your opponent at the other end whether they're happy to be filmed. Now, most of your opponents are probably going to have heard of SwingVision. And what I suggest to my players that want to film their matches is that they actually ask their opponent before they arrive at the venue. Drop them a message to say that you've got this app called SwingVision and that if they're happy, you can send them footage of themselves playing. They'll also get the data as well without having to be subscribed to the app. And so it's a win-win for both of you. But equally, you have to accept that some players won't want to be filmed. And so respect their decision and you'll just have to put your phone away for that match. But generally, I'm seeing more and more swing sticks at tennis clubs. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if within the next year or two that it becomes the norm. Con number 4 comes down to storage. Now, the app actually has its own cloud storage within it. However, to film the match in the first place, you need some storage on your phone. Now, for most people, that's not a problem. You might just need to clear some of the documents within your phone to open up some space. However, there is a way around it. If you struggle with storage on your phone, you can buy external hard drives that clip into your phone that allow you to free up more space. Now, as I say, this is actually not a problem for many people, but if you do have much less storage on your phone or you don't use iCloud to back up your storage, it's something to consider. And con number 5 is I know some people that have downloaded this app to replace their coach. And I know it sounds a little bit biased, but honestly, it cannot replace your coach, thankfully. But what I would say is it has this AI function within it that breaks down how you are winning and losing your points within the match and gives you some tips. And as a coach, I actually like how it's done it. It's kept the tips really simple, so it's not going to clash with anything that you're working on with your coach. However, what I should also add is that SwingVision have created a brand new platform online which allows you to find coaches to review your SwingVision footage. And so if you don't have a coach, SwingVision is a really good way for you to record your footage and send it to a network of coaches that SwingVision use, giving you remote coaching and things to work on within your game. Now, what I should have probably mentioned at the start of the video is you can actually download SwingVision for free. If you're in doubt and you still don't know after this video whether it's going to be a good app for you or not, try the free version. However, if you want to use its unlimited functionality like I do and the players that I coach do, it's worth getting the pro subscription, as not only do you get the full functionality, but you also get sent one of these swing sticks, which is worth $100 for free. As you can probably tell, even with the negative parts of the app that I've gone through, I'm a big advocate of the app, and lots of my players that I work with are using it, as it just supplements what I'm doing with them. Now, of course, there are probably more pros and more cons than I could have thought of, and so let me know in the comments below if you use the app, what your experience has been with it, and if you haven't used the app and you have further questions, let me know and I'll get back to you. But a big thanks to SwingVision for giving me the freedom to make the most valuable video for you guys watching, and a big thanks to you for watching all the way through to the end of the video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care.